How's it going, trainers, and welcome to another Pokemon Go PvP video. Today we're going to be going over the new Sylph tournament, the Ferocious Cup, and its entire meta. So go ahead and buckle up, we're going to go over everything. On the center of the graphic, in the white circle, you're going to see the Dark-type users in Umbreon and Alolan Raticate. To the right, you're going to see that they counter the yellow circle, which are essentially the water counters. We're not going to call them the electrics, they're more so the water counters. Minun, Furret, Raichu, and Linen. On the bottom right blue circle, we're going to call these the water types in Suicune, Vaporeon, and Bibarel. And on the far left side in the pink circle, this is majority the charm users, but it's also got Piloswine and Donphan kind of in there, because they all counter the dark types. So we have Alolan Ninetales, Delcatty, and Granbull as the core charm users, with Piloswine and Donphan serving similar roles to the charm users. Then finally, on the far right side of the graph, in the orange bar, are the wild card players. You have Nidoqueen, and honestly Nidoking should be in there too. Lairon, Skuntank, Alolan Marowak, Shelgon, Alolan Sandslash, and honestly, the newly added standard Sandslash should be in there. Kanto, Purified Sandslash with Return. So those are pretty much all the Pokemon that we're going to be covering in this analyzation. So let's go ahead and jump right into the Dark types. Kicking things off, we have Umbreon with Snarl, Foul Play, and Last Resort. Umbreon is truly the most meta-defining Pokemon in the Ferocious Cup. It's ranked number 1 on pvpoke.com. And really all it has to worry about is charm users. That's really it. It's prepared for everything else in this meta, and to be honest, is Last Resort really required? Let's go ahead and look at that. So, looking at it analytically, Last Resort only gains Umbreon close wins against itself, so the mirror, Alolan Raticate, and Skuntank. Last Resort, in that sense, isn't necessarily strictly required. You could just run with Foul Play, or you could do Foul Play Dark Pulse if you want to give it the 75k for the extra move. But you'd still win all those other matchups. You would just lose the Mirror, Alolan Raticate, and Skuntank. Yeah, so let's go ahead and look at Alolan Raticate itself. Alolan Raticate is essentially the poor man's Last Resort Umbreon. So if you don't have it, this can be a good substitute. With Quick Attack, Crunch, and Hyper Fang, it covers all the waters. Notables like Linoone, Shelgon, and Piloswine. The only thing it really has to worry about is a 2-time weakness to fighting types, which is pretty limited in the Ferocious Cup, seeing as the only good counter user in the cup is Donphan. It really needs to watch out for the Charmers, though. Like, really needs to watch out for it. So yeah, those are the 2 dark types, and I definitely recommend bringing Umbreon, whether you have Last Resort or not. Now let's go ahead and look at the anti-waters. On the top right you have Raichu. Raichu beats all the waters: Minun, Alolan Raticate, Furret, Lairon, and it's just really glassy. That's kind of its biggest issue. On the center there you have Minun. It falls to all the other 3 in this graphic, but it handles the water type, so it kind of does its own role the best, if that makes sense. It can also beat Granbull, Delcatty, all the rock types and dark types, including Lairon, Skuntank, Alolan Raticate, and yes, even Umbreon, if played correctly. On the bottom right, we have Furret. Furret is kind of crabby, I'm gonna be honest. It's ranked highly on PvPoke, but everything it wins is just barely. You'd have to devote shields to it, you'd have to know what you're doing, and it's still expensive to invest in, so I really wouldn't use it. On the bottom left we have Linoone. Linoone's pretty sneaky. It handles Donphan, Nidoking, Kanto Sandslash, Piloswine, Vaporeon, Granbull, Raichu, Minun, and the biggest fault to it is its fast move is Shadow Claw, and there's a lot of sub-normal typings in the meta, like Bibarel, like itself, like Furret, Alolan Raticate even. It does allow it. Shadow Claw fast move allows it to rip through the likes of Alolan Marowak, if that's important to you. So, yeah. Really a kind of a, it's kind of this category is just kind of falling off as of lately. If you watch competitive tournaments as it progresses to the month, you mostly see either Minun or Raichu, or they opt out of both and go with Linoon, or they just don't use any of them. But that is the anti-waters. Moving on to the waters, we're going to start off with Vaporeon, with Water Gun, Aqua Tail, Last Resort, or Hydro Pump. That is right, Last Resort is not required. Hydro Pump actually has two more wins in all of Ferocious Cup, so it's definitely whichever you kind of have. Vaporeon is the water type in the Ferocious Cup, at least in my opinion. It handles every single fire, ground, rock, ice, and all the Charmers in the cup. It even handles the likes of Skuntank, Alolan Raticate, Bibarel, and most importantly, it goes head-to-head with Umbreon. Real close, especially if you have Last Resort. It's very neck and neck, and if you can land a Hydro Pump, well, if you can land a Hydro Pump against anything, it's going to really be fantastic. Don't have Last Resort? No problem. Octail and Hydro Pump will still handle all of these same masters, so Last Resort truly only solidifies the things it already wins. Moving on, we're going to look at Bibarel. Pretty derpy looking Mon, but do not underestimate him. With Water Gun, Surf, and Hyper Fang, it, similarly to Vaporeon, not my words, can handle all the fires, ices, rocks, grounds, and the Charmers. Its spammy Water Gun fast move paired with its hard-hitting and very fast-coming Surf charge move allows it to spam through Shelgon, Skuntank, Alolan Raticate, Furret, Linoon, and even its other fellow water types, Suicune and Vaporeon. Do not sleep on this Beaver Warrior. He's not as derpy as he looks. Lastly, in the water typing, we have Suicune with Snarl, Bubble Beam, and Hydro Pump. He is expensive. He's going to cost you 100k period to get that second move. You need him under 1500, so you need him from a research box. Suicune truly has all-around fantastic matchups against the entirety of the meta, obviously except electric types. Its Snarl fast move allows for a very generous energy gain and allows Suicune to be something comparable to the Acid Sprayers of the past and previous metas. You can bait with Bubble Beam, Wreck Shop with Hydro Pump. You really never know what's going to hit you with Suicune. I mean, to be honest with Suicune, it's more of a skilled PvPer's Pokemon. If you're new to PvP, I recommend using Bibarel or Vaporeon for sure. Definitely Vaporeon, in my opinion. It's just more easily accessible. Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on to the Charmers. First with the best one, definitely the best one, Alolan Ninetales. Charm, Ice Beam, Psyshock is the moveset you're going to want. Alolan Ninetales is the undisputed, and rightfully so, queen of Charm. It obliterates the Darks, Dragons, Waters, Normals, and Electrics will hopelessly fall to the Alolan Ninetale. Who can resist its charm? Alolan Sandslash, Nidoking, and Nidoking are really the only ones, so you're going to want Steel subtypings and Poison subtypings to resist the Fairy type damage that is just going to rip through everything. And truth be told, I really feel that Alolan Ninetales is probably one of the 3 essential staples on everyone's team. You need to have Umbreon, you need to have Alolan Ninetales, and you have to have a water type. Those are the staples. So moving on to the next charm user. Let's see what we got up next on the block. We have Gramble and Delcatty. Gramble with Charm, Crunch, and Close Combat. It's really exclusively used for its Charm fast move to kind of replicate what Alolan Ninetales is doing, but its charge moves kind of are lackluster. Crunch comes quick, is decent neutral damage, Close Combat. Fighting is really only good in this meta against Ice, Steel, and Dark. It does handle the likes of the Darks, Bibarel, Furret, and Kanto Sandslash, which is going to be more important than you think the more we go into this meta Simplified. Next up we have Delcatty with Charm, Disarming Voice, and Wild Charge. Delcatty can cover the normals, Dragons, Darks, Vaporeon, Donphan, Piloswine, and even can go toe-to-toe with the Alolan Ninetales itself. Delcatty at 100% standard IVs, that's 15, 15, 15, can max exactly at 1500 CP, which is pretty fantastic in terms of breakpoints and PvP usability. However, it really stinks how much it costs to invest in. These other two fulfill the charm user role. You have Donphan with counter, Heavy Slam, and Earthquake, and that's right, counter. This is the best fighting type user in terms of fighting type damage. Donphan is fantastic in that sense. It's very niche. You can cover the steels, rocks, darks, electrics, and normals. Just watch out for grass, not linen, and even Alolan Sandslash. Next up we have Piloswine with Powder Snow, Avalanche, and Stone Edge. Piloswine ices a lot of things. Both of the Nidos, Electrics, Dragons, Skuntanks, every ground type, Alolan Ninetales, and with really skilled PvP play, you could even tear through Alolan Raticate and Umbreon. So, if you know what you're doing, Piloswine might be a good option. Now we have the Queen and King of the Nidos. Nidoking first off with Fury Cutter, Earth Power, and Earthquake. Fury Cutter is a legacy fast move, and yes, you want that move. If you don't have it, don't use Nidoking. It's just the way it is. Fury Cutter allows it to rapidly charge up to its Earthquake and Earth Power, just ridiculously fast, and allows it to overcome the Electrics, Charmers, and other notable ones include Alolan Raticate, Shelgon, Donphan, Skuntank, and Lairon. Comparably, we have Nidoqueen with Poison Jab as the fast move, Earth Power, and Earthquake or Stone Edge, depending on what you want to do. Nidoqueen can handle the Electrics, Charmers as well, but does it with a lot more bulk. It's a lot more bulky of a mon compared to Nidoking. Handles the likes of Skuntank, Shelgon, Alolan Marowak, Donphan, Lairon, Alolan Raticate, and Alolan Ninetales. And to be honest, Nidoqueen's Poison Fast move combined with significant increase in bulk compared to Nidoking puts Nidoqueen like miles ahead of Nidoking. It's so tanky, it can take a lot of hits even when it's super effective damage, especially when it's neutral, and it fires off those Earth Powers faster than you would think. Now we have Lairon and Skuntank. We'll start off with Lairon with Metal Claw, Rock Slide, Body Slam. Lairon's role in this cup is to counter the Charm users and wreck the Poison types. That's really all it does. It just has its own, it's a specific hard counter to those two typings. So when you're making your 5th or 6th selection in your team, if you feel that you have a real weakness to Poison types and Charm users, then Lairon can be a good addition to just hard counter those two typings. Next we have Skuntank with Poison Jab, Crunch, and Sludge Bomb. Skuntank has always been a force in any cup that it's been in, and it's really true. One key thing has changed this time. It is a Poison Dark type, so it has always been weak to ground types, and usually in the cups it's available in, ground is very limited. But not this time around. There are a lot of ground types. The Nidos to be one, Alolan Sandslash has Bulldoze, it's everywhere. Despite that, Skuntank still carries several notable wins, such as Bibarel, Alolan Ninetales, Alolan Marowak, Linoone, and Delcatty. So don't sleep on this poison user. It's pretty sneaky. Now in this infographic we have Alolan Marowak and Shelgon. Alolan Marowak with Fire Spin, Bone Club, and Shadow Ball is kind of a go hard or go home Pokemon in this meta. It takes out Donphan, Granbull, Shelgon, and is absolutely the hardest counter to Alolan Ninetales. Unfortunately, like many great things, there is of course a glaring weakness, and that is the water types. Double water in a team of 6 is a very huge strategy in this meta. So running a fire type like this is gonna get itself completely wrecked in the right situation. So if you choose to use it sparingly and, correctly. Next up we have Shelgon with Dragon Breath, Flamethrower, and Dragon Pulse. Shelgon's incredible neutral damage type helps it to handily defeat the Electrics, Bibarel, Suicune, Donphan, Alolan Raticate, and Umbreon. But it gets better. As a closer with shields out of the picture completely, Dragon Breath decimates the likes of Vaporeon, Skuntank, Nidoqueen, Alolan Marowak, and crazily enough, Alolan Ninetales, even though that Charm Fast move is doing super effective damage. Next up, we have the two different slashes, Kanto Sandslash and Alolan Sandslash. Kanto Sandslash with Mudshot, Earthquake, and Return. Kanto Sandslash can get to Earthquake faster than anybody in the Ferocious Cup can. Pair that with Infamous Shield Baity Charge move Return, and you better believe it's a real killer combo. Handling the Electrics, Rocks, Charmers, the Nidos, Skuntank, Donphan, Shelgon, and non-legacy Umbreon. And besting the water type Bibarel even. That's crazy. It really is not to be underestimated. And lastly, in our Meta Simplified, we have Alolan Sandslash. with Powder Snow, Ice Punch, and Bulldoze. Alolan Landslash can spam Ice Punch like you just really wouldn't believe, handling the pesky Nidos, all the Charmers, Skuntank, Lairon, Shelgon, Piloswine, and all the Electrics. Bulldoze allows for great coverage, Ground does good against the Poisons, Electrics, it's just, wow. With all that being said, that is pretty much the meta. As far as a team of 6, you gotta be wise in what you feel you're gonna face. Anyways, I want to thank everyone for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.